I interviewed a man named Glenn Jager. He is a senior vice president at the Pickering Power Station. He was on his way to Ottawa for an industry conference, and he graciously gave me the chance to interview him. I asked what some of the daily challenges he has to face, and this is what he had to say.
Nuclear is an industry that's very demanding. Safety is always the number one thing, as you might imagine. But on top of that, we're always shooting for excellence. Good is not good enough. We don't just stop there. We continually improve the business, and you can never really stop doing that.
Being a senior vice president at any company can be stressful. However, Mr. Jager is used to it and turns the stress into motivation.
It is. I think the importance of it adds stress. The fact that the consequences are high if you don't do it well, and that's always in the back of our minds. I think that's a very powerful motivator at the same time. So I think it drives a high degree of commitment and a high degree of motivation in the people that are working there, including me.
Mr. Jager mentioned that they have a small in-house media group who work around the clock to provide information. I asked him to expand on it a bit.
We have the amount of people working on that site. It's about the size of a small town. You have to be able to get in, because they're there 24 hours a day. You can't meet with everybody all the time, but you do want to get information out. They produce short videos and a lot of print media. They also do a lot of work externally as well, again using videos, social media and print to communicate to the community about what's going on, what we're working on, and that's all about transparency. That's how we're held accountable by the people of Ontario, and it builds trust as well, and that's an important aspect of operating a business like that.
My follow-up question was, what kind of videos do they make?
They're a variety. Some of them are strictly for information, and they're on the OPG website. Some might be to address a particular issue that might be in the minds of people. Things like Fukushima response, from the Fukushima accident. So things like that.
The Fukushima nuclear disaster is the largest nuclear incident since the Chernobyl disaster of 1986. There were a series of equipment failures, nuclear meltdowns, and releases of radioactive materials at the Fukushima 1 nuclear power plant, which occurred following the earthquake and tsunami of March 2011. My final question for Mr. Jager was, how does he assure that the public's issues will be addressed? And this was his reply.
We're a highly regulated industry, and so the regulator has a role there. They also receive concerns or comments from the public as part of that process. And just last week I was in Ottawa for a relicensing hearing. That's stressful. They basically hold us accountable on behalf of the public or through our license, but there's other ways too. The public doesn't hold us accountable directly. Media certainly does. It's a two-way street there. And also meet with the community leaders and people on a regular basis, and they also, it's opportunities to hold us accountable for how we operate and relay their concerns and make sure that we're addressing them.
Mr. Jager has been the senior vice president for 3 years now. Before that, he used to be an engineer at the plant. He is married and has 2 children who are currently enrolled in university. If you're curious to find out more about Ontario Power Generation, you can visit the website at opg.com.